Hi everyone, Sailor Jupiter, Sailor King World, Lita here, and today we're going to talk about how Duane got into Sailor Moon. Now, a lot of Sailor Moon followers out there have been into Sailor Moon since 9 between 95 YL, when it first started in the 4-1 Reichs in the Settled Land. Now, that one would have been the Deke and Cloverway one that most folks out there hate. Now, like most folks, Duane would only watch some of the followings when he woke up early enough, before anybody else, and watch it on UPN and WB. And when, back in the day when you watched it on UPN and WB, it was on either at 6 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning. Or even earlier than that, 5 or 5:30 in the morning. So you could tell the watch time may not done very well. And you may have seen some of the followings. Later on, when it went to USA, that's where he mostly watched it when it was on USA and didn't really think anything of it when he was home to watch it. Other times, then by the time it went to cartoon, he may have watched some of them, but not all of them. And then years went by. He never talked, and he never told anyone at Learn. It never really came up at home. So, yeah, it was that show, whatever. And then years later, we have the nostalgia critic, or the past scaver, who everyone, says that, says a lot of things about him, but he talks about Sailor Moon, and Duane's like, yeah, he once watched that show back in the day. And by that time it was 2008 YL. But he was a latecomer to a show that had at least been around since 9 between 92 YL for the rest of the world, 9 between 93 YL, before the English speaking world, 9 between 95 YL. And he soon, had to start getting all the dolls. Like, all the Irwin Toy and Bandai dolls, which most of them are still here to this day. Why would he not tell anyone about it? Yeah, well, it never came up at Learn. No one at Learn ever talked about it, either before class would start or during midday meal. It never came up. At home it never came up either, so that was why. It was just some show that he would happen to have saw from time to time, and 9 between 95 YL, probably at 6 or 6:30 in the morning on UPN and WB, because they were the only two folk works back then that got to deal with Deakies for it. And he may have seen some of the followings and didn't really think anything of it, and didn't even know, what its name was, or if it was some other show. Now, back in the day, even before that, way back, this would have been at least as early as 9 between 92 YL, there was this Farsi or folk work, which I don't think they did get the broadcast rights, but somehow, some way they had gotten, Sailor Moon when it first came out, in Dawnland, before it was even written into English. So he'd just be watching that from time to time, and not really thinking much of it then. Now, by the time he started seeing it in 9 between 95 while on and off on UPN and WB, which are no longer around anymore, UPN is now became one with WB, and they're the CW now, and one became 20 to the point now, and there's KDK Plus or whatever more. So yeah, and he just watched some of the followings and then go through his day, and he wouldn't bring it up because he didn't talk about it, and no one was talking about it either, so it just never came up. And then he also would watch it when it was on USA and between 97 YL. You know, it was that, you know, and once again, not really think anything of it, go through his day. And then by the time it got to cartoon, this would have been between 98 OYL. He may have watched it, some of them there. By that time it was like 4:30 in the afterday. You know, not really think much of it, but then watch it there. If he watched it, you know. And that was around it. He didn't really get into it until 2008 YL. You know, and that was years later. And a lot of folks did happen to, some folks gatekeeped him and gave him shit for it and said, and it was mostly, oh, you like the Deacon Cliverway Sailor Moon. Well, the Toei one is where it's at. It's where all the other Sailor Moons offshooted from. Yes, it is. Once Viz came along with their take on Sailor Moon, all those folks that used to gatekeep and shame everyone who liked the Deacon Cliverway Sailor Moon, well, they just kind of fucked off, and that was the end of it. Forgive my English there, but that's, you know, what happened. So he's been into Sailor Moon ever since. He doesn't have a big, you know, he doesn't have a big Sailor Moon doll gathering like so many other folks out there do. He doesn't got every single book ever written or filleted. He hasn't got every film game that was ever made. He hasn't got every single Irwin toy or Bandai doll ever made. Since he can't afford to buy every single thing a Sailor Moon ever was out there. But at the end of the day, he still is a big Sailor Moon follower, even if he's a latecomer to something that's been around since between 92 YL, you know. So, there you go. If you like this film, then follow us over here at Sailor Moon for Life. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like and playlist this film, and don't forget to watch the film yesterday when Sailor Mars or Sailor Red World Ray went out. And if you're new here, give us a thumbs up. Like we said, hit that ringer and bind, let you know when the next upload live stream of short's been done. I, Sailor Jupiter, Sailor King Rodlita, and I'll see you later.